we're going to talk a little bit about your competition in your local area in terms of, when you start your business, there's going to be existing professional organizers in your area. There's obviously, in terms of like your competition, there's going to be people who are actually paying attention to you, and then there'll be other people who are so busy that they're not paying attention to you. I don't think you need to worry about the people who are busy because they're actually doing their business, so don't worry about that. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit tonight about, some of that like fear and maybe anxiety you guys might have when you are starting your business, and it's like you have all this confidence, and then once you actually put your listing out there, or you put your website out there, you launch your Facebook page, and then you're like, oh my God, like there's all these other people who've been doing this so much longer than me, and you're looking at their websites and they're charging less than you, and you're starting to think, am I really gonna be able to do this? Okay, I do not actually ever want you guys to become struggling professional organizers, okay? And you kind of have to break down what I'm talking about when I say this. So let's imagine if we're gonna, I'm saying this in quotes, struggling professional organizer. Let's say that is somebody who has started their business, and they have essentially followed all the rules of the things that they thought that they needed to do. So they buy the membership, they buy the education classes, none of those are required, they don't have to. They invest their money in advertising because that's the thing that they think that they're supposed to do, et cetera, et cetera. So they've done all that, and they haven't really even gone and gotten clients yet. Like, let's just imagine like this worst case scenario. So they have kind of invested in all this stuff. They've invested in their insurance, their memberships, blah, blah, blah. Like, they have everything that they think that they've needed to pay for, but they haven't actually like built up like any kind of, cash flow income. And so they're now at this point where they're like, okay, so I have to start working towards my certification. And so I need this many hours. So I need to, get this many clients per month. Therefore, I better lower my prices so that I can get as many clients and book as many hours as possible in order to qualify for the certification, which is not required to be a professional organizer. Do you guys get where I'm going with this? So they're kind of at that level where they've already invested up to $1,000, $2,000 like on business expenses before they even really get started, because they were following the rules and they felt like that was what they needed to do. Okay, so now let's say that's you, and you're at that point where you're now like, okay, now I'm struggling because I need to get clients just to stay afloat. Like, I have already invested a bunch of money in advertising, and now I need to take as much as possible from any client possible, and now I'm desperate because I need to start, bringing in money just to break even. But I don't know if you guys like study like personality types or whatever at all. Like, I'm really interested in that. And there's certain personalities that are very much like, I must follow the rules, or I make the rules. I must have people who follow the rules, and I cannot deal with anybody who doesn't follow the rules, because that's just outside of my my way of thinking. But then there's people who see what the game is, and they decide they're not going to follow all the rules, but they're going to go around them because doing this step-by-step process isn't necessarily required. And this is me. I'm describing myself. I understand the implications of deciding, I'm going to do this my own way. I'm going to market it my own way. I'm going to brand myself my own way, and I'm not going to take like the advice of, what everybody else is doing, because I actually want to stand out and be chosen by my clients. Like, I felt like, for example, when I looked around my local area, like there was zero personality to anybody who had a website who was calling themselves a professional organizer. So essentially, like, let's pretend like you're on like Match.com or Tinder or whatever, you're dating, and every profile you see like is like, this like very stale description of a person with like this like corporate headshot. Like, if that was all you knew, then you're like, okay, I guess I have to pick one of these people. But then comes along this person who's like, here's my dog, here's the things that I love, here's the things that make me me, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, this person is fantastic. I'd much rather hang out with them for an evening than one of these boring, stiff people. So like, it's essentially the same kind of thing, because the way that your potential clients, like if they're searching for you online, like let's say they're not even going off of a referral or anything, they're searching for you online, they're essentially making their decision the same way, because they're looking for somebody that they're emotionally connected to. They're not going to, they don't want to go through and just read a list of qualifications and read a list of all the rooms that you can possibly organize. Like, that doesn't do anything for them. Like, let's take this metaphor as far as possible. It's not a turn on. I feel like being yourself online and portraying your personality online is a little bit of an art form. And it's kind of like in this day and age, is the means for which you have to do that are kind of evolving. Like, you know, you have a website, like that's pretty standard and you need to have that, and it can be, it's like a blank slate. It can be anything. But what it should not be, I think, when you're trying to stand out in terms of getting hired by a client, it should not be impersonal. It should not be too bossy. You know, you are trying to, you are like, think about what it is you're trying to do. You want your potential client to choose you. I mean, maybe they'll talk to a few people, but they want to choose you and maybe a few other people out of your whole potential field in your area to call and even talk on the phone. Okay, so out of those people, who do you think they're going to pick? Like, they want to pick somebody who they kind of feel some kind of rapport with, or maybe you show, for example, through your website that you have a sort of like a design sense, or like something that you're really interested in that you bring with you to your organizing business. Like I've talked to a lot of you that have like a special interest in health and fitness and how organizing ties into that. Like, I mean, there's so many ways that you could differentiate yourself like in the field, that you're not just like, you know, you're not doing what every single other like standard professional organizer is doing. And by the way, like a lot of them apparently don't feel the need to even put their picture on their website. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? Because what you're trying to do, you want your client to feel comfortable with you and trust you and to invite you into their home, but like you can't be open with them even a little bit, like to put your picture and tell something about you. Like that just doesn't, like, that doesn't accomplish what you want. Okay. Lydia says, Lydia says, I'm having a hard time picking a name for my business. I want to use my name to make it personal. Yes, Lydia, I really recommend doing that. I mean, not because, like, I really like cute organizing business names, but I also really like people who use their own name. And one reason for that is because that means that your website could grow with you, or your brand could grow with you, especially if you end up ever branching into something else. Sarah says clients want authenticity. Yes, that's a great word. And she put that in all caps. And I do think that that is super, super, super important. So the question you guys have to ask yourself is, okay, do I need to follow the list of 100 perfectionistic rules in order to be a real professional organizer? Or do I need to realize, okay, none of that stuff is really required, but if I'm going to have a business, I have to be able to sell myself. And in order to sell myself, I actually have to stand out in the sea of options in order to get that opportunity in the first place. So really, really your goal is to brand yourself, differentiate yourself, and be the one who's easy to work with. And I cannot emphasize this enough, because I have looked at hundreds of professional organizer websites, and I cannot tell you, it is so ironic that they're calling themselves organized, but like their websites are like a hot mess. Like they're outdated. They look like they were made in 1990. There's no way to contact them. Like it's not like it's not easy to read, you know, to go through the process. Like here's what we do. You know, here's how to work with us. Here's your next step. Like you need to make it very, very, very simple for your disorganized client, or your client who is going through, you know, an emotionally traumatic time for whatever that reason is. Like you guys really have to, you know, the thing that can set you apart even a little bit is just putting yourself in the mind of your client, rather than in your mind, you're thinking like, I need to list every qualification that I have. And like, that's really not like what's attracting your clients to you. So like Sarah said, authenticity is a really, really big deal. Yes, Danielle says, I have had clients specifically say they were turned off by the websites of those stiff organizers. Absolutely. And Danielle, and all of you guys, I have worked with clients who have worked with organizers before, and they tell me over and over again, you are a breath of fresh air. These other people, some of these other people were so demanding, controlling, bossy about like their way or the highway. And it's like, apparently they thought that, or I don't know if they thought that was what their clients wanted or needed, but they were just like, this is how I'm going to do business. And I'm telling you guys, there is a gap. I think I see it. I see a gap in the market, and this is what I was able to do, is fill this in my area, a gap in the market of, you know, someone who is organized and can coach you how to be more organized, but is not going to like shove their like philosophies and their methods down your throat. And also like being easy to work with and like actually customizing what you do to the client, not forcing them to follow like this like rigid system. So when you show up on the scene and you're doing things in your rule breaking way, you're going to have a little bit of jealousy, maybe competition. Like it's going to be like, how would you feel if you're somebody who has been doing all the things that you were told you were supposed to do, and then somebody else shows up in your competition area and now they're above you on Find My Organizer because I told you how to get a listing above them for free, and they're like, oh my gosh, who is this girl? She's on here, she's charging more than me, she has these package prices, like she demands to get paid in advance, ha ha ha, like who do you think she is? Who does she think she is, or whatever? Okay, so imagine like these are the minds of your haters going crazy, okay? And the thing that I want to tell you guys right now is that it does not matter even a little bit. Like the things that they say about you or the things that they think about you. Now, I will tell you, you might not want to join NAPO if you feel like you are going to not be able to have that thick skin and stand up to that resistance of your fellow. They want to call you a colleague. When they say when you join NAPO that you are now like a local colleague or whatever, and I'm like, no, you're still a competitor. And here's the interesting thing. Somebody left a comment on my YouTube and she was glowing. She was like, she's like, I understand, like it's not for everybody. She's like, but here are the benefits, blah, blah, blah. And then one of the things she asked, that she stated on her comment was, one of the great things about NAPO is that if I get requests for jobs that I don't want to do, or like things that I don't like to do or that I don't want to do, then I can refer them to other organizers in NAPO. And I'm like, oh really? So I should join NAPO so that I can get all the jobs that you don't want? Like, how is that good for me? So I'm paying money in order to get like the crappy clients that you don't want to have anymore, and then you call that networking and you call that like, colleague, like working together. I'm sorry, I think it's bullshit. And I'm not afraid to say that because I'm not a NAPO member. But anyway, so what do you guys think would happen? What do you think would happen? Like these people are going to feel like you are encroaching, or is that a word? Coming onto their territory and stealing their market share. And the truth of the matter is you guys have to understand that like that's part of the deal. Like you need to be prepared for that, and I mean that in like the best way possible. Is like the reality check is that people who are following the rules are not going to like you, and they're not going to refer people to you, and they're not going to recommend you, and it does not matter even a little bit. And you can take that to the bank. So my point is that you are still going to continue to get clients who are going to connect with you and they want you. And they are going to be blissfully unaware of any, crazy like social media, like bitchiness or any kind of drama that is going on, about you and your business. They don't care. They don't care. Like, and they don't know anything about like whether you're certified or whether you have been in business 6 months or like 6 years or 16 years. Like they really don't care, because what you are offering is an extremely personal service. And if they have looked, I'm talking about the clients, if the clients have looked around at all their options and they have decided that you are the person who they resonate with your philosophy and they feel comfortable with you and they trust you in their home, they're still going to choose you. They're going to call you. They're going to bring you in for consultation. You're going to be the one who's easy to work with, not a total pain in the ass, and they're going to hire you and you're going to get paid. Here's something that a lot of people ask when they are getting started. Should I reach out to a local organizer in my city or region or whatever to ask if I can shadow with her? What do you guys think that my answer is? I feel like I'm like talking to my children right now. What do you think I'm about to say? Okay, so everybody's taking a guess on what I was going to say about asking to shadow a local professional organizer. Okay, so Alicia, no. Sarah, no. Dee, no. Candace, no. Lainey, emphatic no. Lindsay, nope. Hilarious. Nobody got time for that, says Jasmine. That's awesome. Lydia says, be yourself, not a shadow. Marissa, no, don't give away your skills for free. Susan said, I asked one and she seemed cool about it, but then she blew me off twice. Just say if you have no time or interest in doing it, don't give me the dodge. Here's the reason why I say no. Is Um, if you ask to shadow a local professional organizer who she's thinking, so here's somebody coming along who I would be willing to, for free, to like have her come to a job and like mentor her. I mean, maybe not even for free, like maybe, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to pay her? Like, are you going to pay her to come to her job and like learn? I mean, I guess that is an option, but anyway, essentially, if you're asking to shadow somebody, I think that the understanding is that it's for free. Is, oh, you know, oh, I just want to learn from you, learn about your business and see if it's something I want to do. It's like, really, like, do you think she's really going to help you? Like, I really struggle to believe that, because anybody who's really serious about what they're doing and their business, I feel like the only reason why they would do that is because they want to be a good person and they want to maybe, you know, they want to help somebody out of the good of their heart. But I don't think she's really going to genuinely be open with you and share with you, here's my process, or here's how I mean, or maybe she'd be willing to show you how she helps somebody organize somebody's house. But like Lainey's talked about this before too, it's like, I wouldn't want somebody to come shadow me while I'm doing my personal one-on work with my client, because that person who is just shadowing me is just kind of like in the way, or like it's kind of hard to incorporate them into that process. But the main thing is well, I'd be really concerned that my person, I mean, especially if she shadowed me more than once, I definitely wouldn't do it more than one time, is that she would be trying to, you know, ask me tons of questions about my business that I would feel too guilty not to, like, you know, answer in some way, and that she would be like essentially trying to steal my business model, even though I do teach this to you guys for free, but I'm just saying hypothetically. She would be trying to steal my business model, and therefore trying to, like, you know, somehow get in with like my clients and steal my clients and steal, like, I would just be like, are you kidding me? Like, why am I going to give away to my competition? Oh, sure, here's the way I do things. Here's the way that I make sure my clients are happy. Here's the way that I, you know, do my pricing, do my payments, do my, you know, the whole thing. Like, do you really believe that there is going to be someone that, I just think that is going to be rare, rather than, you know, I don't think it's rude necessarily to ask somebody if that's possible, because it is always possible, I guess, that she could say yes. I just don't necessarily think that that's something that, you know, and I guess this goes back to like the NAPO group too. It's like, it's almost like they want to like keep all their enemies close to them, rather than, you know, being realistic about the fact that you guys are all competing against each other. Does that make sense? And maybe I have a very like, not pessimistic, I don't think it's pessimistic, but maybe you guys think it's pessimistic view of it. But I would rather be like working on my own process, developing my own way of, again, working on that process of standing out to clients in order to get hired, rather than like, you know, putting myself out there and trying to work for free and, you know, trying to do these like discounted jobs. It's like, I just don't think that that's effective. There was somebody's when I was doing somebody's competitor analysis recently, I was looking at one of their competitors, and in order for her to start her business, one of her competitors was starting her business, and she had her Facebook page, and one of the things that she was doing was like, she was really trying to, I really think, I mean, in her heart, I think she believed absolutely she was being philanthropic and like giving back to her community. And she's like, I really would like to, you know, gift my services to like a single mom who's struggling to make ends meet, because I really want to, you know, help her and get started in my business and all this kind of thing. And I'm just thinking, how is that helping you get started in your business? Because you're not like, that client is not going to be, well, it really depends on who you're targeting. But if that is not your ideal client, and if you're giving away your services for free over and over again to somebody who doesn't have like friends and a network of people that she can refer you to, that's not effective. It's not effective. So sorry, I kind of got off the shadowing topic, but I just want you guys to like realize that you don't have to go and suck up to some organizer in your area who's been doing this for like 20 years just to get started. Like, you don't need to be recognized by them as somebody who is like, oh yes, I know her, I've trained her. Like, that is not necessary at all, because I really don't think that that's going to get you any further down the line than like watching a bunch of YouTube videos and learning a bunch of stuff on Pinterest. Well, like, I think that's a better use of your time and helps you go faster. And I do think that when you are really focused on, what you have to offer and putting yourself out there in like a really genuine way, and essentially really focusing on yourself rather than your competition, I think that you don't have to worry so much about the competition. And I do think there's enough business to go around if you are differentiating yourself and like showing up in a very authentic way, like we have been talking about earlier in this conversation. So in that sense, I don't think we have to worry about competition, but at the same time, I don't think that somebody who's in the same line of business as you is just going to willingly give away all of her secrets if you are also going to be exactly in her area. Does that make sense? Because that would be bad. That would be bad for her business, for her to, there's a reason why, if you have somebody who comes and works for you, like they're going to sign a non-compete so that they don't, take your business model and all of your clients and start their own business 3 months down the line that, sucks away, your income. Like that would not be smart.